What's going on, fam? All right, let me see if I can put out a quick reminder to everyone here.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on, Drew?
You can share the link from the event too. They could just click on that and I'll join straight here.
How do you do that? Let's see. Event.
Yeah. And click on invite and then copy the link and post it in the announcement.
Bullish.
Boomer.
Sad thing is you're older than me. All right, so let me just.
Bank's looking healthy.
Bank is looking healthy. That's good news. All right, so let's give everybody a few minutes to join up. And Drew, what happened yesterday, by the way, with, did you have somebody trying to break into a car or try to steal something from you or what?
Let's just say someone was trying to blackmail me and extort me for money.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I had to call the cops and get them involved, and yeah. But I think I got it resolved, but we'll see in time.
Wow, is that a bored ape in the club right here? We see blunt pox. I don't know if that's a real bored ape or not. Might be a derivative. All right, let's see here. No, I think they're probably trying to get your hippos, Drew.
Exactly.
Solana Club.
However, the security measure was that the Solana TPS was down, so you couldn't even send anything anyway. The built-in security measure for it.
It's the store of value. All right, so I just I'll start out by, providing just a brief introduction to the project. I know people are going to still filter through. I think where we started back in December 12/29 was actually initially, we saw our brand, our project as an entertainment, platform that was specifically focused on a casino from the community's perspective, right? I think we said from the beginning, though, that we're not just a casino. As you know, we've obviously expanded to include other additional utilities in terms of, NFT, DeFi applications where you can borrow, as your HRHC NFT, you can borrow against that. You can also, now when we're looking at the 3D aspect or metaverse, channel that we're trying to dive into, we're actually going to have a playable avatar in the metaverse. So that's kind of where, we're trying to dive into this three-dimensional world where metaverse really means a lot of things. I think primarily what people hear it and think of it as is just a place to interact with one another, but it's not used by many people today, right? So ideally, our brand when we started was really just rev share, get as much casino revenue and drop it back to holders as possible. And that was kind of just layering revenue streams one on top of the other. How can we bring in additional utility? How can we, increase our value? And ultimately, that led to our decision of shifting away from that as a DAO, primarily due to the fact that we're really looking to become more compliant, acceptable by the masses, and also stay out of regulation or compliance issues as we proceed further. So, I think the way that I'm looking at it now and the way that a lot of these blue chip projects, sorry, there's a swarm of fucking birds outside my window, but, the way that all these other blue chip projects are really interacting right now is going back to the roots, which is art, with, the branding, really focusing on what utility it has as opposed to just straight up rev share. And as you know, as I've stated in the past, we are going to announce our roadmap 2.0. This will kind of lay out the vision a little bit more in terms of where we're headed and where we came from. You know, a lot of people today ask me, well, what's kind of the positioning we're looking for, right? Well, you know, we went through strategy sessions with Vince. I think everybody knows him from our marketing team, and we really went through and understood what does our global brand look like, what are the colors, the fonts, you know, all of our, you know, I'll say end-to-end branding, both from an HRHC perspective all the way through to the website and characters that we're going to be entertaining in game. It's really about that, right? Having a clear, consistent message that tells the same story that really focuses on becoming the number one entertainment brand in Web3. So that's what we're really focused on. I'd say level one, you know, is really what I mentioned: the branding and positioning, the digital infrastructure that we have, which is this 3D metaverse we've set up, where we're partnered with, you know, Yaku, Desolates. We're working on portals. You know, Heavenland, we're already partnered with Botborgs, you name it. We're basically partnered with every single Solana metaverse space. So that's kind of the infrastructure we're trying to achieve, is having this 3D art completed, giving us a runway for us to launch 3D baby hippos into our own 150-foot skyscraper in the Yaku Corp or in, you know, Desolates or wherever the case may be. We will be one of the top, you know, or first 10 projects, 15 projects to launch into this space and have all of that utility already ready, even though the metaverse narrative hasn't really taken flight yet. So that's the second part that I'm really focused on, and I think we are as a team. It's also establishing the DAO and making sure that we're scalable as an organization, as an entity. Essentially, you know, the voting process, everything needs to be decentralized from the roots up to, you know, how we actually make decisions with funds, how we actually drive the project forward, and where we actually, you know, basically put in our investment and have the highest ROI. The utility is still in play, you know, really looking at, okay, if you are an HRHC holder, you'll get access to exclusive perks. Krieg's going to go into that in a minute. But we are looking at bringing in additional utility, additional qualitative value, and driving, you know, ultimately just driving as much value back to our holders as possible, whether that's the Gen 1 collection or the Gen 2 collection. You know, I think this also plays into the next piece that I want to dive into, which is our ecosystem, right? Gen 1 has a you know, a PFP that we are looking at upgrading, but it also has a benefit of becoming, you know, the primary role beneficiary in our ecosystem. So, you know, as we increase the price of roll through buy and burn from our casino revenue or from other secondary sales or from other tools that we're going to implement, there will be burn utility to the roll token, as well as when we upgrade the PFP and actually make the Gen 1 collection an official piece of art. So that goes in complement with Gen 2, which is what we're launching now. That is the 3D baby hippo, which ultimately will be playable as a character, as an avatar in the metaverse. There's also going to be, you know, an additional, I'll just say, accessories and play to earn games and other, you know, partnerships that haven't been announced yet that will be able to play as your avatar and also get exclusive NFTs. So that would apply to, you know, some, you know, I'll say some extent of the Gen 2 as well as our Gen 1 collection. I do not believe we'll do staking with Gen 2, but who knows, if the DAO votes on it, we can actually look to build that out. And then last but not least, we're really going to be focusing on the raffle aspect, right? So driving the roll token to become more of a utility-based token to, you know, whether it's whitelists or raffling on art or whatever the case may be, there's more to it than just being a token. It's actually part of the ecosystem, and we need to find additional ways to adopt that utility in real life. So I'm not going to go too much further into the future of the project because I think that'll ultimately be determined by the DAO. However, in Roadmap 2.0, I have two more sections which I really want to call out. You know, more focused on the merchandise, more focused on monetizing entertainment. You know, integrating real life applications, and focused on how do we tie this into whether it's virtual reality events, also just say IRL events, right? So with that being said, I think, first off, I really do appreciate all the new faces that we've seen come into the community. I think there's been a lot of great questions that have come through regarding, how are we set up as an entity and, organization. We've been decentralized from the start. We really let the community speak and decide what we do next. And we're able to move fast because we have great, devs, we have great staff. We have everybody here to support us. We're all one team, and that's how we're going to proceed moving forward. So, with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Rob, and he's our I'll just say our operations behind the scenes. And Rob, why don't you walk through maybe some of the priorities that you have?
Sorry, just walking in the door. I'm gonna pull up Craig's priority list. Hold on. So we're looking to implement a few things before our mint. One of them is we're trying to get another SPL token set up for the Soul Dogs community. We're gonna try and implement bones in the casino, and they will be advertising on our behalf. On top of that, hopefully Craig is still on track to get Audius integration done before mint. And we're also looking to bring chat back as well. I know there's some other stuff. Let me pull up my list here. Yeah, so yesterday, Craig actually moved over to production, like an edit to our splash page. So when you would go to the casino, it was a little bit unwelcoming. There was, you were just hit with like, select your wallet and nothing else. So we added like a little disclaimer, on that screen now, basically, saying if by connecting your wallet, you're agreeing that you're not from any of these countries, just a little something to cover our asses with, right? Obviously, we don't want kids gambling or, people breaking the law. So, and on top of that, we're going to adjust, um, I don't know, Craig, what you call it, but when you go to like our site, all you see is a black background. We're going to adjust that so it's going to be like a little bit transparent, so you'll be able to see the whole page behind the connect your wallet screen. So this way you get an idea if you come to the site what you're actually connecting for, as opposed to like just a blank page, right?
Yeah, that's what I just pushed a few days ago. I think there might be some small bug with it that doesn't show for some people, but the update for that is ready and ready to be deployed again if there's any errors on the front end right now.
Yeah, so
Just to make the whole thing more welcoming.
yeah, so one of the I'll let Chris jump in here. One of the things that we're will be pushing eventually that he's been working on is like an NFT tracker tool, right? So part of the utility for the baby hippos is, that's like your access to this NFT tool, right? It's still in early development, but I'll let Chris go over some of the key features for this software, and yeah.
Yeah, so what I've been working on in the background is basically a tool for every NFT trader that anyone could use, and it's basically tracking all sales on the entire Solana network, your your wallet, and the most I think important feature that I've worked on is actually an AI engine. It's completely custom. It's running on like millions of sales of data pulled from Magic Eden, OpenSea, and everything, so that it's actually possible for us to not go off of just floor price value, but actually estimate the real time value of an NFT at any time in the past or right now. And the key thing with that is that you can actually set up auto sells for NFTs. So for example, if I were to say that the estimated value of my Hippo were to reach 5 Sol, I want to sell at that price, I can just sign a transaction, and then once the price of it hits 5 Sol, it's going to get automatically listed and then probably sold. The same in the other direction. If I want to sell a stop loss, set a stop loss at 2 Sol, for example, it's going to automatically list at that price once the estimated price hits that. So it's basically just an all-in-one tool for an NFT trader, so you can see your profits and your estimated profits at any time. And I think what I've also been working on, and what's going to be like a really great feature, is a whole auto trading experience. So you could either follow wallets from influencers or whoever you'd like, and then basically copy their trades, just taking NFTs from the same collection, or using our algorithm, the AI that I've been working on, also outputs a bearish or bullish signal on a collection at any time. And so you could also make a bot based off of that automatically buys an NFT off of a collection if the sentiment is bullish. I've also been working on the UI, not myself though. I've spent $12,000 now on a UI, so that should not be a problem. And basically the plan with this product is that we're going to expand off of the hippos with it, and you guys will be getting free access to it. And we're also going to be selling renewals. And that way we'll be targeting a much larger audience than just, the
Gamblers.
casino and arcade gamblers.
Yeah.
And we're basically going to be targeting the entire ecosystem with that. That should give us way more reach with both the product and hippos in general.
I think there's like a big market for this, right? Like I don't know if any of you guys have ever used Nansen or Moby or like Icy tools. This is like basically that, but for Solana. And like for instance, if you have Nansen and they charge, I think like for their alpha version, it's like $7,000 a quarter for like the same type of data that Craig is going to provide with this NFT access tool. Obviously, it's not going to be anywhere near $7,000. We're trying to make it like affordable for all users. And I think by doing that, we could grow like a large user base, and that the more people that use that, the more brand awareness the hippos have. It's a really, really exciting thing that he's working on. So can't
Yeah,
wait for
definitely.
you guys to see it.
And in terms of launch day, I think the UI should be done within 2 to 3 weeks, and we should be getting first previews of that within probably a week. And then the final product should be ready for, well, not the final product, but the MVP should be ready for beta launch in maybe 1.5 months. So in early July, probably. So it's looking pretty good. We shouldn't be waiting too long for it to launch.
I think, yeah, and just to kind of like expand on what we talked about earlier, there's a lot more utility to what we're bringing to the ecosystem, what we're building. I think I'll call out Soulport Tom. We had a call with him the other night, and he's focused on really building a brand around entertainment, focused on the metaverse aspect like we are. However, it's in 2D, and we're kind of in 3D, so we're on different planes, right? I think the difference is that his team's kind of developed a whole set of tools and technology related to the launch pad. And while we're building, I think we're kind of focused on our holders and the ecosystem, the retail traders. How can we actually benefit them from an end user perspective, right? So what we've actually developed, not only with the games, but what we're looking to develop is more, games that are focused on games of skill as opposed to games of chance, right? So there's a lot of red tape, as you can see with the casino. I think we're going to keep that in our back pocket as part of our portfolio, but we really want to expand on the play to earn side of things. For example, we talked with Rugged Revenants. They're actually looking at integrating hippos into their 2D arcade where you can smash your rugged NFTs. Once again, that's focused on the end user or the retail trader. And I know we've all been through a rug. But ultimately trying to build out new value, where you can get rewards in NFTs or tokens or accessories. There's a lot of I'll just say applications that we can further expand on, in which we will provide benefits to our holders, and that's not just through our ecosystem, but with some of the partners that we're building with. I think it'll be very neat when you're running through a suite. By the way, we do have our own private suite with a Hippo suite, but you'll have a 3D baby Hippo run through and click on the arcade console or casino console and be able to get directly routed to the mobile UX UI that we've already established. That's kind of why I refer to that digital infrastructure where Krieg's already built out the website as well as the games, and we have that, I'll say that foundation in place. Now we can expand to arcade, we can expand to Texas Hold'em tables, we can expand to doing a Yaku style racing bikes with 3D baby hippos as well, and integrating those models into that. It'll make it a lot more interactive. It'll make it a lot more collaborative. I think the communities between us and Yaku, who we're great friends with, we're going to look at how much synergy can we produce and how much entertainment can we really drive on top of our brand. So I think that's something to be mindful of. Aside from all the tools and all of the cool shit that Krieg is building, we're actually looking at building out a larger set of tools that are going to benefit the millions of people here in Solana as well as on Phantom. And I think eventually, and I'm not, Krieg and Rob are probably going to shoot me, but eventually we can potentially look at taking this cross chain, right? And we could easily double our user count or our market base, right? So I think right now what we've developed is good enough in terms of covering Solana, but our goal is to be the number one entertainment platform in Web3, which expands to other cross chain opportunities. So I think the other thing that I wanted to discuss too is, first off, there's a lot of excitement here heading into the mint. A lot of people ask why we did Soulport. Well, I think in terms of the Solana network, as you can see, TPS is at 1600. We also want to ensure that everybody has a fair chance at getting one, baby hippo. Had we gone with, Magic Eden or somebody else, it would most likely have been bottable. It would most likely have been, even though it appears to be a platform where you can't bot it. Sometimes I think there is misconception about what is bottable, even if you have whitelist addresses. Because I know Rob is an expert himself. He could launch up 10 addresses and get in there and probably get 10 of the mints. But I think what we're doing with Soulport and also the way that we've structured the whitelist process here, everybody's going to have a fair shot. Everybody's kind of been vetted through Lord Hippo. I really want to give a shout out to Lord Hippo for driving this, monstrous process in the Discord, as well as pulling in all these blue chip communities and everybody else that's joined, the Discord and other community. So I think there's a lot more of excitement coming our way. I actually, I'm hoping that we'll have some type of preview, both interior and exterior, to surprise on Twitter. I think there's going to be a little bit of a couple surprises that we're trying to launch here, just to show how interactive, how fun, and how exciting the 3D metaverse is that we're building and who's supporting us. I'm going to try to get out as many announcements as we can prior to the mint. Worst comes to worst, we'll have these 3D models running around right after the mint, and hopefully start building out some additional shit in the metaverse. Now that we have I'll say 3 or 4 3D artists that are ready to continue building. So I don't know, Rob, Krieg, anything else that you guys wanted to add?
Yeah, I don't know if we want to talk about one of the other priorities that I know you've been pushing for, like a raffle for a roll. So we have Craig once, he gets to a point where we're just waiting on the UI for the NFT tracker tool. We're going to have him begin work on a raffle tool. So you'll be able to, the DAO can go out and buy NFTs, and then we could raffle them off in roll, to add more utility. I know that they're really popular. The ones that Famous Fox runs, the D Gods raffles, Dusties or whatever it's called. But yeah, we're looking to do that too. And then, the opportunity is there for us to then white label that tech to other communities that are trying to provide utility to their holders, right? So we can get 2 revenue streams from that, not just, raffling stuff off in our community and then, any profits go back into the DAO, but on top of that, like white labeling to other communities and having it branded towards them, kind of like what we've done with Pitbull Poker Tour. So yeah, I don't really have anything else. I don't know if you have anything, Tyler. But maybe if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, we could probably do. I know I don't see any hands right now, but are there any specific questions in the audience or anybody on stage? I see Lord Hippo and Drew's up here. More than happy to bring people up and ask some questions or answer some questions here. Oh, we got Metatune. All right, hold on. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's happening, man? Hey, so I'm just curious. I'm kind of ignorant as far as the metaverse space goes. What exactly is going to entice people, not just with HRAC, but in general, to use the metaverse? I mean, I've heard of Coca-Cola or Adidas selling NFTs and trying to buy land and stuff like that, and I get it for advertising purposes. But what else would you use the actual metaverse for or invest in that you wouldn't you would invest in that versus real world, properties or what investments? You know what I'm saying?
That's a great question. I think so. From my perspective, there's multiple, and I think we're still so early with this narrative, and it hasn't really played out yet, where people are actually seeing the demand in the space. So, for instance, number one, I know, the virtual world is something that is really just unusable at this point, right? Both from a mobile perspective, desktop perspective, everything is kind of clunky. If you go into Decentraland or something, and you can obviously run around as an avatar or run around in game, but you could also go play any other video game and really just have the same experience, right? So, right. In my mind, when you're actually making it more about how do you drive engagement, how do you drive entertainment in that space, I think that's the reason why people actually choose to get in and find it, I'll say valuable in general. And the way I say that is if you're able to monetize or incentivize people to come in, whether it's play to earn games where you can actually earn crypto for playing. That's what you see with Axie and all these other, economies of scale that actually made a lot of people money. What ultimately drives that is people have demand. They actually want to go in. They want to trade, accessories. They want to, buy NFTs in game. Hell, you could probably even buy merch, virtual merch, which we're looking at. How do you actually take more of the real world and then apply it into the metaverse or apply it into that virtual world? And it really doesn't make sense right now because people don't see the vision. I think even myself, there's a lot of questions up in the air because you can never really think more than 90 days down the road. However, if you're actually, I'll just use an example here. If you're a DGods holder, or if you're a, one of these other communities that, maybe they have a special, I'll say special view on a certain game. Well, wouldn't it be sweet if you could actually go on and instead of playing on PokerStars, you could actually play Texas Hold'em in a virtual world with your PFP and actually spend time in that metaverse space or in that virtual world, collaborating with your friends. And that could be either, your digital identity could be an NFT. It could be, an avatar that you're actually running around in. I think we're not necessarily there yet. I think people kind of see Twitter, your PFP picture as your digital identity. It's almost like a flex. Okay, I own this. It's worth 20K or whatever. But I think eventually people are going to see, okay, now the PFP is transforming into an avatar. You're able to play that in a virtual world where there's 20, 30, 50,000 users eventually. And I think right now you're looking at a space where it's just so new and so fresh, people are asking, what is the value? And I don't think the value is there until you have the masses there playing in the game, or, you know, other people that are actually marketing this, right? And the way that I look at it is, if you have like a Nike, or you have these other, you know, huge brands that are going to dive into ETH, and they're starting with Bake, right? And all of the land sale, and, you know, they're going to have virtual stores and all this shit. Well, eventually that trickle down effect is going to happen into Solana. And, you know, I know it doesn't happen overnight. I know the virtual land and everything with Bake is kind of like a work in progress, but eventually that's going to happen. And they're going to look for, okay, who is some of the first movers in that space? Who's the most reliable? Who's the most trustworthy community? Who's actually going through the ringer a little bit? And that's kind of why we've made all these partnerships with the big metaverses, right? Every single metaverse on Solana we're looking to partner with. I think, like I said, the last one that's pending is Portals. And we already have the Metaverse Casino that we could just drop into anybody's space. We already have 3D baby hippos that we could just drop into anybody's space. And, you know, that eventually is going to be the norm. Right now, it's not there yet. And it's because people don't understand the value. And I still don't understand it fully, but eventually it's just going to be about,
Yo,
you know, does that make sense?
Yeah. And I was just thinking too, as you started saying that, like, it would be cool if you could go in and, like, let's say, like, because my sister used to play this dumb game called, like, Club Penguin, right, when she was a kid. And it was similar. You walk around with the penguin, you can buy clothes and shit for it. And then, like, you interact with people online. World of Warcraft, you know what I mean? You can go and actually interact with people. But it would be cool, like, if you had this universal metaverse and all different groups had their avatars that they can bring in. And let's say you want to play poker in, like, a HRHC casino. Well, as you walk into the casino, now you change screens and you're all sitting at a table. Maybe you have 10 people at a table. Yeah. Well, eventually, let's say you get a hold of these big brands, the Nikes, Adidas, whoever, and they want to pay you because you have a lot of traffic. Hey, what if we put Nike on some of the chips? Or, hey, what if we put a Nike banner or Adidas banner in the background while everybody's playing? And now they're getting advertisement and you get revenue share from these brands. You know, if you have 100 tables going at once because you've got thousands of users, and each different table or whatever has a different brand attached to it, now you're getting revenue stream from all these different brands and stuff. I mean, that makes sense as far as, like, bringing, you know, more value to the metaverse in that sense as well. You know what I mean? And generating more income.
Yakuverse has something like that currently. So if you purchase, you know, a DAO building, for instance, like the Monkey DAO building, all the buildings you're gonna, if you own that building, you'll be able to advertise on it. So we could place like a giant, you know, scrolling billboard on the side of, you know, the HRHC casino, and and actually charge people for advertisement.
Yeah, see, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that people like, I used to be big into games. I used to be big into, you know, Diablo 2, StarCraft, fucking CS. I still play occasionally. And, you know, some people ask, why the fuck do people spend, you know, $500 on a gun, or, you know, an accessory or whatever in game? And it's because there's demand for it, right? So right now there's literally no demand for a metaverse NFT. There's no demand for, you know, any accessories in game, really. It barely exists. It's because we're really at the beginning of that narrative. And I think what's actually going to drive value to that space is addicting games. It doesn't necessarily need to be a casino. It could be a arcade game. It could be a, you know, just a community where people actually host their DAO meetings in these buildings. And, you know, maybe eventually it's VR, because that brings another aspect to it where you're actually wearing a headset in real life. I've never actually tried it myself, but maybe it brings that real life aspect to it where you're like, fuck, this is so real and so cool. Eventually, everybody's going to, even the boardroom is going to probably be VR eventually when you look at corporate America or wherever, right? So in my mind, it's not until the time is spent there and millions of users enter that space until the demand increases, you know, astronomically. But I think we're on the brink of seeing where, okay, we might be going from 100 users a month to 1,000, and then next thing you know, it's a fucking million, and people don't see that vision yet. And I think it's going to happen, but probably over the course of the next 2 to 5 years.
Yeah. Be cool, man. To make a a hungry hippo Pac-Man style with the 3D maze. Whoever collects the most dots wins the soul. Hell yeah.
That's exactly like that type of giveaway or that type of contest is exactly what I would like to do, you know?
Yeah, because you don't need it would be a game of skill, but everybody would have similar advantage, versus one person who's so skilled in the game that they've upgraded to this level and can easily smash, level 1. It would be like a fair, you know what I mean, all the way around.
Yeah, and I think also too, like there is usually an incentive, right? There's a prize or something at the end.
Right.
Maybe even if it was like generating some type of rare NFT or something. Like the other thing I was thinking about was creating a one-of-one artist marketplace where it's in a virtual, like in our metaverse casino, where people could walk up and make auctions or bids on art. Just finding ways to, and it's only exclusively there, right? We want to make it as exclusive to either a Hippo holder or whatever metaverse partner that we're connected with. How do we drive demand? And I think most of it is entertainment, scarcity, fun, collaboration, and engagement across communities. It's really going to be driven by most of the blue chip projects are going to drive that by adding additional utility in the metaverse.
Right. Well, cool.
Right on.
That explains it a little better.
Yeah, I think the hardest part that I have with convincing the community on this is the vision, right? I don't think like everybody's necessarily there yet in terms of, right now it's like saying, back in 2000, well, this is, or, even earlier than that, internet is shit, right? I don't need the internet. I can go into Yellow Pages or whatever. But like eventually people are going to realize, okay, your NFT is a digital representation of yourself. The more badass accessories you have, or the more exclusive or rare it is, in the metaverse or wherever is a status symbol. I think a lot of people, take away, in my mind, it's not just what you're rocking, it's also who else is rocking it, right? So if it's a brand or if it's a celebrity or whoever the case may be, they want to be like that person. Maybe it's, maybe we sponsor somebody like, I saw the other day, what's his name? Scotty Nguyen. I think it's Scotty. He's a Texas Hold'em player, and he just like sponsored a tournament for Texas Hold'em in this one, one of our partners' spaces. And I think that was something that drives attention to real world people. How do we actually drive utility in an NFT world or in a metaverse world? And I think that adoption is going to happen slowly, but eventually people will see it, and celebrities, branding, and marketing is really going to drive that adoption.
Right on. Does anyone else have any other questions? None?
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. And, I think we have a Twitter Spaces in 20 minutes, so everybody will get to hear my voice for another hour. But if anybody has questions, feel free to DM me directly. Shout out to Vince. I see CZ. I think Jay-Z already dropped off. But everybody that's here in the audience, really appreciate you guys, as well as Lord Hippo taking us through with the whitelist and whatnot. Really appreciate his support as well. So thanks, everybody, for joining, and feel free to DM me if you have any questions.
Thanks, guys.